warning system. And so the first question is going to be, what is your vision? And we're talking a magic wand, a crown. We're not talking practical or cost, but what would a perfect flood warning system look like for you guys? And so we will start with Wayne Ecker.
Eager.
Eager. Oh man, they trained me on that, and I got
You knew that offhand first. You were told that coming into this. This was Eager.
Yeah. I used to play Eager. It's a card game.
Yeah. Euchre is the card game.
All right, go ahead.
Euchre is my name. Born and raised here in the hill country, I've known what the river does. I've seen what the river does. I've experienced what it does. For a flood warning system, yes. For those that are moving in, coming in, we do need something to alert those that are there. However, we also need to do our diligence. We need to know that we as citizens need to be knowledgeable and tell the ones that are here visiting, there's rain coming, and be best if you stayed out of the creeks. So the flood warning system that we're putting in right now is something that we need. We need to know that it's happening, but we also need to be able to have the knowledge that we know when it's happening and be able to tell those that are around us.
All right, then, the next we'll go to Randy Murphy. What is your vision of a perfect flood warning system?
All right, folks, we need to have SatCom, APs up on the divide, along with alert sensors where we can, if it's raining heavy or hour after hour, if a moisture sensor is dry or appearing to be dry, they can send alerts all the way down river with the system. The current system going in for the camps by River Sentry, it's great. It uses a different type of frequency, and it is good, and everything has to be operated by batteries because there's no power. Fiber will not have a place in this. Fiber optics are too expensive for this. With the system going in and then what the UGRA is looking at, all of the systems have to communicate together. If they don't, it's failed because this last flood did not start on the river. It started up on the divide. So if we have sensors up there where it starts, everything's got to be communicating back down. And you include all of the network systems, the satellite systems up above, they have latencies, but they're designed that way. This way, you will know in advance instead of waiting for some type of flood stream monitor to start sending alerts because by then it's too late. So up on the divide where it starts to have sensors, being able to monitor weather and have rain gauges like they are putting in, but bring all that together under one communication system. That's what I would do.
All right, George Baruti, please, what is your vision of perfect flood warning system?
Well, a perfect flood warning system would be one that wouldn't be necessary if we didn't have the floods, right? That'd be the best thing. But actually, what he was just saying is mainly my biggest focus is less so much how it gets done as much as the communication links between everybody that's supposed to be knowing about it being brought under one roof so that it's not lost in the shuffle, so to speak, as far as people knowing what's actually occurring. The other is, right after an event like this, everybody's unified in their response to it and everything like that. Ideally, we don't end up splitting it up into like turf wars type of things where the communication between all the sources need to be there, and we need to make sure that people are monitoring the systems as they're presenting them with the information. Best I can tell, you can have a really loud siren, but unless people understand what's going on, or you can have text going out, but unless people are looking for them, in all these different places, they're going to have to actually be able to be trained in as far as what does that response mean. The different levels. I mean, I don't sit next to the river, so I'm not actually paying attention. I'm not knowledgeable. This one time I'm out there, I'm still not going to know. So ultimately, that's going to have to be getting rid of the communication silos that occur in any system like this and bring it all under one roof. That would be my main focus.
Okay, thank you. Guy, we go go Guy, Bubba, what do we go by?
Doesn't matter.
Well, it's gotta matter somewhere, when they have your order ready, what is our?
Guy Bubba Walters.
Okay, Guy, Bubba, Walters, there you go.
So what I want to talk about is, like Randy said, we have to it all has to fit under one umbrella, with its communication. We have to make sure it reaches from the headwaters, the North Fork, the South Fork, all the way down. What I would like to see is also to make sure that we have in real time rain gauges, in real time flood gauges, the flow, and making sure that we have warning signs, flashing signs, sirens all the way down that river. I coached and taught for 30 years. I taught your children, I taught your grandchildren. I know how precious they are. We cannot make the same mistakes that we had last time. We have to fix this, and it has to be fixed right now.
Okay, let's go to Mike Allen.
Thank you. Matt, I think the question is, what's a perfect?
Yeah,
flood warning
perfect
system?
flood warning system. If you had a magic wand and could just say, "Bling," there it is, what would it look like?
It would be a system where no one loses a life, no property was damaged. That would be a perfect flood warning system, which probably is impossible. But certainly, those gauges need to be in place on the upper reaches of the 3 major tributaries. And then the flow meters also need to be in place. Folks, this is serious business. We lost 119 citizens in Kerr County, the worst natural disaster ever to hit Kerr County. Hopefully it'll be many years before that happens again. But we need to be ready for it and prepared, because floods happen. They happen frequently. It's something that just occurs around here. We have steep hills covered with rock. They don't absorb water very well. And it runs off fast, and we're flood prone, and that's just our nature. So we've got to have those systems that's been talked about, and it needs to be in place soon. I know the county commissioners have authorized Mr. Tom Mosier is leading a good team that's putting it together, and hopefully that'll be in place by this coming summer, by our camping season, because the camps are so important to all of us. They're one of the main economic generators. As a banker, I understand economics, and we've got to have those people coming back here every summer. Was it 30,000 kids typically come through those camps every summer? That's very important to Kerr County. We can't do without them. We got to get them back in business.
Okay, thank you. Rich Paces.
Get out from under that TV. My name is Rich Paces. I was part of the team that the county put together to define what we needed in a flood warning system. So I've got a pretty good idea about this. And in the process, we interviewed all kinds of different companies that have systems, some that have already been adopted and are being implemented or utilized elsewhere. The key in having a flood warning system is that it's an integrated system. You know, and the good news is UGRA was already doing quite a bit of work on this. We already have a hydrologic model. So the whole flood basin has already been mapped and modeled. And the key is to integrate that with all of the weather data, with the gauge data, both rain gauges and flow data. And all that gets integrated. Now that we've got artificial intelligence, it all kind of comes together to where the perfect flood warning system, if we get adequate funding, the perfect flood warning system will integrate all that data, and it will give us a prediction of how high the water is going to get and when it's going to get there. And the idea is to have a dashboard available to anyone in the county that wants to watch it. And believe me, if you live anywhere close to the floodplain and you get some weather warnings coming in, you better be watching it. And that system, that dashboard, every volunteer firefighter, and especially the chiefs, they'll be watching it. So they know it's coming. And that's the key, early warning, so that we know to get out. And again, people that live along the river, they better be watching it too. So we're gonna have sirens, there'll be other integrated FM radio systems. It all gets linked. I'm not overly concerned. We're gonna specify that there's redundant communication systems. You know, your cell phones may not work out there, but data does. So it'll be a great system, but the real key is we've got to train people what to do so they know when it goes off, where do they go? Because most people, all they had to do was walk up the hill.
All right, Clayson, Lambert, wrap up this question for us, please.
I owe you money for this one, man.
Okay.
My entire career has been designing, installing, and putting in SCADA systems, supervisory control and data acquisition. Whether it's in a refinery, whether it's a flood warning system, I've seen them all. And I am concerned about one thing. I think we've got great people working at UGRA. The work that Rich has done is great. I've been working directly with Tom Moser, who has endorsed my campaign. Tom has put together a spec on what the system needs to do, but we're going to come to a day where a vendor is going to put the actual system together. And it needs to be properly tested, and it needs to be properly reviewed. And the communications portion of that is a huge element. Randy Murphy is a communications expert. The actual system itself, the electronic design and everything, is interesting because vendors will try and put things to you that are not the best design. There's always weaknesses and all, and you need somebody to review that and to make sure that everything is correct in that system. I've got 4 decades of doing that, and I would love to give that kind of expertise to the county. These systems consist of instruments out in the field, sirens or other things out in the field you're going to turn on or off, but then they've got a brain, and sometimes companies that build those brains aren't the best with the sensors, and we also have a problem with alarming, which is an entire different philosophy. You know, you probably have a cell phone and you found that that cell phone alarm is the same for a silver alert and a child abduction, and after a while you get tired of that and you just set it aside. What if it's a flood? We need to look into and see if we can change the tone or do something unique to that to make it very, very obvious to the citizens.
Okay, thank you. County commissioners have the ability to raise your taxes in a number of different ways that does not require voter approval. 2 of those are certificates of obligation, and the other one is a public facility corporation. And so I want to ask you about both of those ways of incurring debt for citizens without a vote. So public facility corporations in Texas are nonprofit entities created by local governments to finance, develop, and manage public facilities, primary mixed income and affordable housing, and they do not require voter approval. Certificates of obligation are the same way. They're usually used in emergencies. So let's start with those 2. When and how would you use them? And we will start with Guy Bubba Walters.
Okay, I would never use them unless it's an emergency. I'm gonna be short and simple about this. That is just a way around taxpayers' votes. That's it. It's just a way around for us to go behind your back and spend your money. I would never vote for that unless it's an emergency or a tragedy, period.
Okay, thank you. And let's go to Clayson.
I agree. I've seen the city of Kerrville abuse certificates of obligation. They should be used only in the case of emergencies. If a bridge washes out, you don't have the money in your funding to take care of that, that's when you pull something like that in. It's not a question of whether you fix the bridge and replace it or not, so you have to. As to the other organizations that you spoke of, I'm going to do something that's very unique for someone running for a political position. I'm going to tell you I don't know a lot about it.
Okay, all right, there you go. I appreciate that answer more than a lot of others. George, off to you. Certificate of obligations, public facility corporations.
Okay, certificate of obligation, unless it's an extreme emergency, not going to happen. For all the reasons they just said, there's no reason to use it just to issue regular old debt. You can go to voters for that. You shouldn't be coming in that situation anyways. Public facility corporation, not going to happen while I'm under my watch. It's not only circumventing the voters in that, it also is circumventing other taxing entities in the same area because it allows you tax exempt something that you're gonna build, and it eliminates the taxation for the other entities as well. The city has actually got one set up. I went to the county commissioners to warn them about it, because did they understand that what's going on is they're gonna they could build something using an incentive to a developer, and there would be no city taxes on that property as well. And there's nothing they can do about it. I mean, other than the county as well. So it's a bad system. It's a bad organization option for anybody but a developer, really, to get incentivized. So I'm not going to do that. Both of them are used in a way to shore up a bad budget, generally speaking. And again, to me, that's the most critical issue we have in our county right now, is our budget. The things like the emergency management system, any other unforeseen issue that comes along, if your budget's not sound, you're not going to be able to address these. And so, again, COs and PFCs, not going to happen. Thanks.
Okay, Rich, microphone to you, please.
Well, the simple truth is, I've been serving as county commissioner for the last 3 years. We haven't done either one. And if we were ever going to have an emergency that we might want to have a certificate of obligation, gee, don't you think it would have been during the flood? Well, we didn't do it then. And as long as I'm your county commissioner, we won't do it.
Okay, good job, thank you. Mike Allen?
In the interest of everyone's time, I readily agree. There's no place for me to vote to obligate you, the citizens, put you in debt without you getting a say on it. So, no, wouldn't approve either one.
Okay, Randy?
We gotta get the budget under control. We gotta peel it back line item by line item. We can't raise taxes for any of this. This is ridiculous to even think about going down these paths. It's ludicrous, and it's only because we can't get the budgets under control. I agree with what these gentlemen up here have been saying, but without peeling the budget back properly, it's gonna go crazy. We cannot afford to raise taxes because of this oncoming of what's gonna happen this year, the year we're in and next year as a result of the flood. So we shouldn't even be talking about that.
All right, Wayne, wrap it up, and we won't talk about it anymore.
All right, then I'll just end it, thank you. Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. There's no reason for it. You know, running businesses for years, I always had a budget in there that we allow for material escalations, changes and everything. It went south and north both times. However, we consumed it. The only time that I ever did any kind of material escalation on a contract on one of the projects that I ran was during the COVID years when materials doubled and they went up 100%. That is the only time that I ever did it. That was an extreme difference of the game that was being played. And like we had this summer with our flood and our experience, there was no reason to call for an escalation at that point. There's no reason to call for an escalation when we have a flat tire.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the next question, and this one's going to be real simple and easy, and I had some inspiration from a recent county commissioners meeting. Does the county need a fire marshal, fire chief, full-time, part-time, contract? I better give a name here. Let us start with Clayson.
The county needs a means to push back on battery systems. Fire marshal can be a double-edged sword. Having a fire marshal will allow you to force the battery system suppliers to provide a lot of information. You can slow them down. You can say you can't have these, this, that, and the other inside of it. And of course, none of us want these systems. But we're really going to have to evaluate this. A proposal has been put forward to hire a part-time fire marshal restricted to only battery installations. Okay, Rich probably knows more than I do. But I know there was a lawsuit filed on that because they said that by restricting it that way, it was not appropriate. I don't know if that lawsuit has ever been settled, but it's risky business. So I'd say until we really find out what we can do with some risk management on that, I can't conclusively answer your question.
Okay?
But we should do everything possible.
Okay. Oh, how about that? Rich, go for it. Fire marshal, fire chief. By
Yeah.
the way, which is right? Fire marshal, fire chief?
Fire marshal.
Fire marshal, thank you.
Okay. Look, no one in Kerr County has done more to lead the fight against battery energy storage. I'm the president of the Chapter 391 Sub-Regional Planning Commission that consists of Kerr, Kendall, and Gillespie County. We've been looking at this stuff for a long time now, and I have come to the conclusion that we do need a fire marshal in Kerr County. That's what's made Gillespie's fight successful so far, and I believe it's also what caused the East Point to pull out of Comfort in Kendall County. So yes, we need one. We need a part-time fire marshal because that allows us to then have a permit and fee schedule and make it very clear that they have to come and ask for permission, because right now they don't have to come to us. They don't have to ask for anything. They can just go ahead and do it. So absolutely, we need a fire marshal. I've been putting it on the Commissioner's Court agenda. It didn't pass the last one. It'll be on again on Monday, and we're going to keep pushing until we get one. So yes, we will limit their scope of work. They're not going to go back and look at all kind of old things. No, we're going to focus them on new commercial construction or projects. And that will, of course, encompass best. Maybe some other things, hotels, restaurants, whatever, that's okay. They should comply with all the safety and fire codes. Why wouldn't we want that? So, yes, we need a fire marshal, and I hope we'll get one.
All right, George, Baruti, over to you.
Okay, I would echo everybody's concern with the battery systems. I'm not sure this is like the only way to solve that problem, and it brings a bunch of extra issues to the table. If the issue is that you need a fire marshal to issue the permits and whatnot, I'm not sure that I've heard or understand a reason why you can't actually contract that work out. There are fire marshals in the area already. For the few times that we're going to be utilizing this service, I'm not sure that that doesn't get you there until maybe there's a full-time need. Having said that, I'm also going to be inclined to not increase the size of government or the extra regulations in government. I'm not saying this is unnecessary regulation, but as an overall scheme, I don't see, especially when we've got a deficit budget right now, adding more to it when we haven't paid for what we already have seems problematic to me. So I would be looking for the simplest, cleanest, incremental solution to the battery systems. I would go a step below a part-time. I would be looking for some sort of a contract for need. Thanks.
All right, Wayne?
I've spent probably about the last 16 years of owning our business, dealing with life safety issues, providing architectural guardrails in public facilities. I've dealt with fire marshals all the way through. And is a fire marshal needed here in order to stop Bess? It's a fence that Bess would have to jump. It's something that could be utilized. However, we're still waiting on a decision as to can that fire marshal be utilized for only new construction and for only new facilities in transfer of property that's added to it. Hence, he can't go into an established business already and ask for or seek out code violations. The other thing in this is realize that the county fire marshal has no jurisdiction over the city. So any incorporated area, a county fire marshal cannot go into. So that's totally different. If we bring in somebody who's only contracted, then it stands on, and this is a deal, again, fighting with legal things. This is a deal where bringing in a contract only, it's a targeting type of issue. So we can't bring them in just to prevent pests. We've got to bring them in at a level across the board for new and other facilities, and it has to be maintained at that. But saying that, are there other options still available? And we're looking at that, and I know that the county is right now asking for legal counsel on that, and we'll find out some of that legal counsel in this next week or two. And hopefully we'll get some kind of resolution from there.
All right, thank you. Randy?
So we used to do this with projects building data centers, companies I work for across the country. And we hired contractor, individual specialists that were up with the fire code to do exactly this. This can be done. It's just a matter of how we have to go through the county, our system, to get this done. We live in an unincorporated part of the county, and maybe the whole county is unincorporated. Fredericksburg, Gillespie County, those counties, that was a regulated county, so they have, with their fire marshal, they could do that. If you do a full-time fire marshal, and we try to sit here and talk about till the cows come home, we can, point it over here to do this and get specific. It's going to cause problems all the way around, because you're going to start getting floaters, and then it's going to go all the way out. So we need to look at one thing, a contract type of fire marshal, and on the other side, there's other avenues, which there are other groups out there that have been talking to EPA and TCEQ to change and modify some of the requirements for the types of cabinets used in these BESS operations and the fire suppression. We did this with data centers, from DoD data centers to Google data centers. It can be done, it's not easy, but that way we're not tying our hands, and it can be done on a project by project basis.
All right, Mike Allen?
Thank you. Battery energy storage systems, let me say right up front, I'm against them. We should keep them out of the county, out of our area. There are 254 counties in the state of Texas. Only 50-something counties have fire marshals. They're in the major metropolitan areas and the counties surrounding those areas. There's a reason for that. The experience I've had with checking with friends of mine, having served on various committees in the state over in Austin, I've got a lot of contacts, and my research talking to those people is be very careful about putting in a fire marshal. You're going to bring all kind of regulations on yourself and increased expense, especially on somebody wanting to start a new business, a young business. And it's hard enough, but to put additional regulation and additional expense on those people, plus the expense to the county. As one of the speakers said, we've got a problem with our budget, and we're underwater already. We don't need to add to that deficit. I'm against it.
All right, wrap this one up, Guy, Bubba, and Mr. Walters.
After 7 of us, I guess. All right, I want to give Rich some credit. For 14 months, I've been to every Commissioner's Court meeting. For 14 months, I have the second best attendance of any man that sat on that court. This man has worked hard to stop this. He really has.
Yes, he has.
And I support him 100% in trying to stop this. But I am not for a full-time fire marshal. Let's see what we can do with this consultant. We're bringing in Dr. Robert Steele, who's coming in to help and give advice to the commissioners and the court on Monday, or they're going to vote on it, and then they've limited him to a $2,500 fee. If we can get away with it without having to spend $100,000 on a salary, I'm for it. If we can go part-time, if we can do it through contract, that would be great. We have to stop this mess. We have to, and I'm standing behind you. I'm gonna fight. I fought my whole life. I've been in a lot of fights and never back down. I won't back down from this one. But remember, we cannot also add to this budget. We have to make sure that we are fiscally responsible and transparent to this county.
Thank you, guys. Everybody ended up actually pretty much answering the next question, which had to do with vests, and so I'm just going to move on with that. And I think at this point in time, I need to apologize to the audience for my mismanagement of time. I'm serious. I apologize for that. And we're going to give each one of you 1 minute to wrap up. And I had to skip 11 questions, and I apologize. So let's start with your number one. Let's see, we'll give it to Randy Murphy. You're first.
All right, I have a deep-rooted history here in Kerr County. My family ranch was bought here in 1913. It's up on the headwaters of the South Fork of Guadalupe. In 1970, my family, my mom and dad, started the girls' camp, ran it for 13 years. I got saddled with the equestrian program there. Later, my 40-plus years in technology, my career, I've installed and managed systems for Fortune 500 companies, from sensing, sensors, tracking, whether it's humans or whatever it is, through a data center, it could be anything, all the way down to the alert systems. I have the qualifications to move this county forward with these types of systems. Whether it's a flood alert system, whether it's, BESS is bad. There's nothing good about BESS, period. At the end of the day, we've got to get rid of that. But I came into this, July 4th, I was in the river that morning, and I was rescuing people. I came in here for public service. If I'm elected, my salary is going to go back to the volunteer fire departments and others, because they protect us and our assets and our property for nothing.
Thank you,
that's
Randy.
what I'm going to do.
Thank you, sir. Wayne.
All right, like I said earlier, lifelong resident of the Hill Country. Been here since the 70s. Currently, on the Precinct 1, I am the only resident that lives in the county. All of the other candidates live within the city limits. So I know what it is to live as a county resident. I've been here, I've done that. Even moving here from Bernie, I was in the county. I know the difference in that. I'm here to support that, but that doesn't preclude me from being able to support the people who were here in the city. You wouldn't know how many games I coached on this very floor, how many baseball games I've been a part of, how many things that I have done with your kids and been a part of providing through the various organizations that I've done. I'm here to look for a future for Kerr County, because we have an opportunity in front of us to do things that we never even dreamed possible. They're coming, and we have that opportunity. Let's build Kerr County forward together.
All right, let's take it to George.
George Rudy, 1616 Glen Road. That's how I always start my visitor forum at the Council and County Commissioners. Anyways, for me, there's really just one main issue. Everything else stems from it. Until we fix the budget, I don't see how we can do anything we want to do until we're dealing with the stuff that we've already done and not paid for. My confirmation, I'm going to finish with a story that basically backs up and confirms for me that one issue. So 4 years ago, was knocking on doors, campaigning for something. I don't even remember what it was. I'm knocking on the door. This lady answers. She's 99 years old. I tell her about whatever the issue was, and after about a minute of that, she takes me inside and sits me down and tells me she used to be in the Women's Army Corps, World War II. And she tells me her whole life story. She's like a can-do kind of woman, all this. Well, this time when I was running, I knew I needed to go by her house and check on it. Well, that day was 2 days ago. And I knocked on the door, and her son answered, and I asked him, he remembered me by name, is your mom still with us? And he says, as a matter of fact, she passed away the day before yesterday. So, I missed the opportunity, but I at least know that I got something from her, and I got something even after she was passed, and I see the time. I'm just going to read a quote that she gave me once before. We do what we have to do with what we have to do it. That's basically what the county needs to do with its budget. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Rich?
Look, first and foremost, I'm a Christian. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a professional engineer, and my background includes 36 years in the upstream oil and gas industry, with 16 years in executive management experience. I've had operations experience, project management experience. I've been responsible for annual budgets greater than $1 billion with a B dollars. And as a petroleum engineer, I fully understand geology, aquifers, and groundwater movement. I've studied the geology specific to Kerr County, and I understand its limitations and just how important it is to protect our precious groundwater for future generations. Now, I've been called to give back and serve my community. I do it as your county commissioner for the last 3 years, as president of the Chapter 391 Sub-Regional Planning Commission, Fighting Best. I'm a volunteer firefighter with the Centerpoint Volunteer Fire Department. I'm the current president of the Centerpoint Area Historic Preservation Association and an active member of Hosanna Lutheran Church in Kerrville and director and treasurer of the Hidden Hills Ranch Owners Association. But look, the real thing, the July 4th flood was a tragedy, and it tested us all. Some stepped up. On July 4th, I was out at 6 a.m., knocking on doors, telling people to get to high ground. After that, I was part of the search and rescue efforts and search and recovery efforts. I helped with debris cleanup, helped obtain needed services and supplies, and I went door to door, doing welfare checks, getting information to people, helped get them financial assistance. So, doing everything you can, you got to ask all the candidates, what did they do?
All right, thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. Mike?
Thank you. Mike Allen, running for County Commissioner, Precinct 2. Number one, thank y'all for showing up. As we all know, the world is run by those that show up. That shows you care. Thank you for being here. I've been a resident of Kerr County for 40 years. I've been very active in numerous activities. I served a couple of terms on the Headwaters Underground Water District, served a term or two on the Upper Guadalupe River Authority, and numerous other activities, Chamber of Commerce boards, led the effort for fundraising for Shriner a few years ago. So I'm pretty well known. Y'all can check me out. I bought the old City Hall in downtown Kerrville about '99, put a bank in it and operated it for 15 years. And sold that eventually and bought an RV park, and that's what I do currently along with some commercial properties. I'm a taxpayer, a resident, put 3 kids, my wife and I, she's out here tonight, put 3 kids through the local school system. Thank y'all. My focus is going to be budget and water, and I would enjoy talking to you about that. I'll be back over here in the right corner if anyone would like to talk about water. Thank y'all for showing up.
All right, Guy?
We moved here in '97. And I've been taking care of your kids, your most precious asset, for over 30 years. I am committed to this county, just as this county has been committed to me. I've been involved in a lot of different things with 4-H, FFA, Little League, baseball, softball, football, you name it, I've done it. I have been athletic director for 12 years. I ran athletic budgets with your taxpayer money. I was a great steward of your taxpayer money. I made sure that I got the most out of your dollar. I want you to understand something. There's a difference in involvement and commitment. I know football coach asked us one day, are you the pig or are you the chicken? We all looked at him like, are you crazy? He said, ham and eggs. The chicken is involved, but that pig is committed.
Clayson, let's wrap this up.
There's a common thread, actually a number of common threads, that runs through very successful organizations. One of those is they hire people that have the right experiences and qualifications to do what they need to do to carry their mission forward. Another thing is they hire people that are accurate. Wayne, I don't live in the city. I never lived in the city. I don't want to live in the city. So one of the things there is budgeting, which has been brought up here. I took a look at the budget for the county. Immediately, 2 things popped out that could be fixed very easily. And it kind of shows that no one's been watching that. In addition to that, I told you about the flood warning systems. I've also been in major corporations and put in projects that made sure that they reflected back every year, took the best things that they did, enhanced them moving forward, and where they accidentally screwed the pooch, they make sure that they never do that again. The county doesn't have a system like that. Long-term planning, we need water, we need maintenance. Clay Lambert, Precinct 1. Ask for your vote.
All right, let's give these guys a hand. We have two more people to come on stage.